There are moments in time when the energy shifts so distinctly that we can almost feel it in our bodies before we understand it with our minds. And this is one of those moments. A powerful cosmic reset has begun, and whether you can already sense it or not, something profound is rearranging itself both within you and around you. This is not simply another passing transit. It carries the signature of a timeline shift, a gentle but undeniable invitation into a new way of living, being, and perceiving your life. As we move through the energies of the 14th and 15th of April, we are held within a deeply significant astrological landscape. We are transitioning out of the watery, dissolving and often introspective influence of Pisces and into the initiating, forward-moving fire of Aries. This shift alone is enough to signal a new beginning, but what makes this moment particularly potent is how multiple layers of planetary energy are working together to reset your internal compass. Pisces energy, which has been prominent in the background, often asks us to release, to surrender, to let go of identities, patterns, and attachments that no longer serve our soul's evolution. It can feel like a dissolving process, sometimes even confusing or disorienting, because clarity is not always immediate in Pisces. Many of you may have felt as though things were unclear, as if you were walking through a fog, uncertain about direction, purpose, or even your own emotions. And that was not a mistake, that was preparation, because now, as the energy begins to shift into Aries, there is a very different frequency emerging. Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. It is the spark of life itself. It is courage, initiation, and the willingness to step forward into the unknown. When we move from Pisces into Aries, we are essentially moving from endings into beginnings, from surrender into action, from dissolution into creation. This is why this moment can feel like a reset. You are not the same person you were even a few weeks ago. Something has been quietly unraveling behind the scenes, and now something new is beginning to take shape. Leading up to this point, many people have experienced a mixture of emotions that may have seemed difficult to make sense of. There may have been fatigue, a desire to withdraw, heightened sensitivity, or even moments of questioning everything. You may have found yourself revisiting old memories, old relationships, or old versions of yourself, not because you are meant to return to them, but because you were being asked to see them with new awareness and then release them. There may also have been a sense of waiting for clarity, waiting for a sign, waiting for something to shift. And that waiting has not been passive. It has been a deeply active inner process, even if it has not looked that way externally. Now, as this Aries energy begins to rise, there is a subtle but powerful shift in momentum. You may start to feel a renewed sense of energy, even if it comes in small waves at first. You may notice a desire to take action, to make decisions, to move forward in areas where you previously felt stuck. This is the natural expression of Aries, but it is important to understand that this is not about rushing or forcing outcomes. It is about aligning your actions with your inner truth, because this is not just any beginning. This is a conscious beginning. And that is where the idea of a new timeline becomes so relevant. A timeline shift is not something that happens to you. It is something you step into through your awareness, your choices, and your alignment. The universe is always offering multiple pathways, but at certain moments, the energetic conditions become especially supportive of stepping onto a new path. This is one of those moments. You may find that old ways of thinking no longer feel comfortable. Old habits may begin to fall away more easily, not through effort, but through a simple lack of resonance. You may feel drawn toward new ideas, new inspirations, or even new people who reflect the version of yourself that is emerging. At the same time, it is completely natural if part of you feels uncertain. Every beginning carries with it a degree of the unknown, and the human mind often seeks certainty before it feels ready to move forward. But Aries teaches us something very important. Clarity often comes after we take the first step, not before. So this is a moment to trust the gentle impulses that are arising within you, not the impulsive reactions driven by fear or urgency, but the quiet inner knowing that says this feels right, even if you cannot fully explain why. Practically speaking, there are very simple ways to work with this energy that can make a profound difference in how you experience it. One of the most important is to create moments of stillness within your day. Even just a few minutes of conscious breathing can help you connect with your inner guidance rather than being swept up in external noise. You might find it helpful to place your attention on your breath, allowing it to become slow and steady, and simply observe what arises within you without judgment. In this space, clarity can begin to emerge naturally. Journaling can also be incredibly powerful at this time. You might ask yourself gentle questions such as, what am I ready to leave behind? What feels complete in my life? And perhaps most importantly, what is quietly calling me forward? These are not questions that require immediate answers. They are invitations for reflection, for listening, for allowing your deeper wisdom to come to the surface. It is also important to remain grounded in your body as this energy shifts. Aries can bring a surge of fire, of movement, of enthusiasm, and while this is beautiful, it can sometimes lead to feeling scattered if not anchored. Simple practices like walking in nature, stretching, or even placing your hands over your heart and taking a few slow breaths can help you stay centered. Relationships may also begin to shift during this time. As you align more closely with your true self, you may notice changes in how you connect with others. Some connections may deepen, while others may naturally fall away. This is not something to fear. It is part of the realignment process that accompanies any significant inner shift. Above all, this is a moment of empowerment, but a very gentle and conscious empowerment. It is not about pushing or striving. It is about aligning, allowing, and then acting from that place of alignment. You are being invited to step into a version of your life that is more authentic, more aligned, and more reflective of who you truly are becoming. And while that may feel both exciting and unfamiliar, it is also deeply supported. There is a quiet momentum building now, like the first light of dawn before the sun fully rises. And even if you cannot yet see exactly where this new path is leading, you can begin to feel that something has shifted, something has opened, and something within you is ready to begin again. As this new energy continues to unfold, what becomes increasingly clear is that this is not a sudden, dramatic shift imposed from the outside, but rather a deep internal realignment that is now beginning to express itself in your external reality. The movement into Aries is not simply about action for the sake of action. It is about inspired action that emerges after a period of deep inner clearing. And this is why the timing of this transition is so significant. We are in many ways emerging from a cocoon-like state. The Piscean influence that has been so present has encouraged introspection, healing, and for many, a confrontation with aspects of the self that may have been hidden or avoided in the past. There has been a softening, a dissolving of boundaries, and at times perhaps even a sense of emotional vulnerability that felt unfamiliar or intense. Yet this vulnerability has been a gateway, allowing you to access deeper layers of your truth. Now, as the Aries current strengthens, there is a call to embody what you have discovered. This is where the reset becomes tangible. It is not enough to understand yourself on a deeper level. This energy invites you to live differently, to choose differently, and to move forward with a renewed sense of self. One of the key themes of Aries is identity. It asks very simply but very powerfully, who are you now? Not who you have been, not who others expect you to be, but who you are in this present moment, after all that you have experienced and integrated. And the answer to that question may still be forming, and that is perfectly natural. This is not about having everything figured out. It is about allowing yourself to explore that question with curiosity and honesty. You may begin to notice subtle shifts in your desires and motivations. Things that once felt important may lose their urgency, while other, perhaps quieter callings begin to take on greater significance. This is the recalibration of your inner compass. It is guiding you toward what is truly aligned with your soul's path, rather than what has been conditioned or expected. At the same time, Aries energy can bring a sense of immediacy, a desire to move forward quickly, to make changes, to initiate new beginnings. There is a beautiful enthusiasm in this, but it is important to balance it with the wisdom you have gained during the Piscean phase. This is not about rushing ahead impulsively. It is about taking conscious, intentional steps that are rooted in self-awareness. You might think of it as a dance between fire and water. The water of Pisces has softened and prepared the ground, and now the fire of Aries is ready to ignite new growth. When these elements are in harmony, there is both sensitivity and strength, intuition and action, flow and direction. Emotionally, this period can feel like a mixture of lightness and intensity. There may be moments of excitement, of feeling more alive and energized, followed by moments where old emotions briefly resurface. This does not mean you are moving backward. It simply means that as you step into a new frequency, anything that is not aligned with it may arise one final time to be acknowledged and released. It can be helpful to meet these moments with compassion rather than resistance. If something arises, instead of asking, why is this happening again? You might gently ask, what is this showing me now? Often there is a final layer of understanding or closure that is being offered. This is also a powerful time for setting intentions, but in a very conscious and grounded way. Rather than focusing on external outcomes alone, you might consider how you wish to feel, how you wish to show up in your life, and what qualities you are ready to embody. Aries responds very strongly to clarity of intention, especially when it is aligned with authenticity. There is also an important aspect of courage in this energy. Not the loud or forceful kind, but a quiet inner courage that allows you to be true to yourself, even when it feels unfamiliar or uncertain. This may show up in small but meaningful ways, such as speaking your truth more openly, making a decision you have been postponing, or simply choosing to honor your own needs. Physically, you may notice fluctuations in your energy levels. Aries can bring bursts of vitality, a desire to move the body, to be active, to engage with life more directly. It can be beneficial to channel this energy in ways that feel supportive, whether through gentle exercise, time outdoors, or any activity that helps you feel connected to your physical presence. At the same time, it is important to listen to your body and not push beyond your limits. The integration of these energies is a process, and honoring your natural rhythms will support a more sustainable and balanced transition. In relationships, this period may bring greater clarity. You may find yourself seeing dynamics more clearly, understanding where there is alignment and where there is not. This is not about judgment or separation for its own sake, but about truth. Aries encourages honesty, both with yourself and with others. You may feel more inclined to express your needs, your boundaries, and your desires. This can be a very positive development as it creates the foundation for more authentic and balanced connections. At the same time, it is important to approach these expressions with kindness and awareness, recognizing that others may also be navigating their own shifts. Creatively, this is a fertile time. New ideas may begin to emerge, sometimes unexpectedly. You may feel inspired to start something new, to explore a different direction, or to bring a vision into form that has been quietly developing within you. This is the spark of Aries at work, and it is worth paying attention to these impulses, even if you begin with very small steps. Spiritually, this is a moment of integration. The insights, the healing, the realizations that have unfolded in recent weeks are now asking to be lived. This is where true transformation occurs, not in the moment of insight alone, but in the way that insight shapes your choices and your actions moving forward. There is also a sense that you are being supported in stepping into greater alignment with your purpose. This does not necessarily mean a dramatic change in your external circumstances, although for some it may. More often it begins as an internal shift in how you relate to your life, how you see yourself, and how you engage with the world around you. As you continue to move through these days, it may be helpful to return to a simple practice of checking in with yourself. You might pause and ask, what feels true for me right now? And allow the answer to guide your next step. This keeps you connected to your inner guidance rather than being pulled in multiple directions by external influences. There is a quiet but powerful sense that you are crossing a threshold, not in a way that demands urgency or pressure, but in a way that invites presence and awareness. You are stepping into a space where the past no longer defines you in the same way and where new possibilities are beginning to open. And as this unfolds, you may begin to notice that what once felt distant or unclear is starting to come into focus, not all at once, but gradually, like a landscape emerging through the morning light. As we move deeper into this energetic threshold, there is a growing sense that this shift is not only personal but profoundly collective. Each individual awakening, each moment of clarity, each conscious choice contributes to a wider field of transformation that is unfolding across the planet. And this is something that is very much reflected in the current astrological climate. Aries, as a sign, does not wait for permission. It represents the pioneering spirit within each of us, the part that is willing to step forward into new territory, even when the outcome is not fully known. But what is different now is that this forward movement is being informed by the deep emotional and spiritual processing that has taken place under Pisces. So we are not moving forward unconsciously. We are moving forward with greater awareness, greater sensitivity, and a deeper connection to our inner truth. There is also a subtle but important influence from the moon during this period as it moves through phases that highlight both closure and renewal. The moon governs our emotional landscape, our instincts and our sense of safety, and as it interacts with this Aries energy, it can bring to the surface a desire for emotional independence, a need to feel more self-directed and authentic in how we respond to life. You may find that your emotional responses are shifting. Situations that once triggered a strong reaction may no longer have the same effect, while other experiences may evoke a new depth of feeling or awareness. This is part of the recalibration that is taking place. Your inner world is aligning with a new frequency, and as it does, your responses naturally begin to change. This can also bring a heightened awareness of where you may have been giving your power away, perhaps without even realizing it. Aries energy invites you to reclaim that power, but again, in a conscious and balanced way. This is not about control or dominance. It is about self-responsibility, about recognizing that you have the ability to choose how you respond, how you engage, and how you move forward. There may be moments where you feel a strong urge to make changes, to take decisive action, or to initiate something new. And while this can be a very positive expression of the energy, it is also important to stay connected to your inner guidance. Not every impulse needs to be acted upon immediately. Some are invitations to explore, to reflect, and to refine before taking action. This is where patience becomes an ally, even within the dynamic energy of Aries. It may seem counterintuitive, but true alignment often requires a balance between movement and stillness. Taking a moment to pause, to breathe, to check in with yourself before acting can make a significant difference in the quality and outcome of your choices. Another important theme emerging at this time is authenticity. Aries does not thrive in pretense or illusion. It calls for honesty, for truth, for a willingness to be seen as you truly are. This can feel both liberating and vulnerable. You may find yourself questioning where you have been holding back, where you have been conforming, or where you have been compromising your truth in order to maintain harmony or approval. And as this awareness arises, there is an opportunity to gently realign. This does not require dramatic declarations or sudden changes. Often it is the small, consistent choices that create the most profound transformation. Choosing to speak honestly in a conversation, choosing to honor your own needs, choosing to take a step in the direction that feels true for you, even if it is a small step. There is also a strong creative current running through this energy. Aries is the spark of creation, the initial impulse that brings something into being. You may find that ideas begin to flow more freely, that inspiration arises in unexpected ways. This is a time to pay attention to those sparks, to nurture them, and to allow them to develop organically. Not every idea needs to become a fully realized project immediately. Some are seeds that need time to grow. But acknowledging them, giving them space, and taking even the smallest step toward bringing them into form can be incredibly powerful. In terms of your life direction, this period may bring a sense of renewed purpose, or at least a clearer sense of what no longer aligns. Sometimes clarity comes not through knowing exactly where you are going, but through recognizing what you are ready to leave behind. This in itself creates space for new possibilities to emerge. There is also a deeper layer of trust that is being cultivated during this time. Trust in yourself, in your inner guidance, and in the unfolding of your path. This trust does not come from having all the answers. It comes from a willingness to stay present, to listen, and to respond with awareness. You may notice that as you begin to trust yourself more, your decisions become clearer, your actions more aligned, and your experiences more reflective of your true self. This is the essence of stepping into a new timeline. It is not about escaping your current reality, but about transforming your relationship with it. From a spiritual perspective, this is a moment of embodiment. The insights, the healing, the growth that you have experienced are now asking to be anchored into your daily life. This is where the real work and the real beauty of transformation lies. It can be helpful to create simple rituals or practices that support this embodiment. This does not need to be complex. It could be as simple as setting an intention at the beginning of your day, taking a few conscious conscious breaths before making a decision, or reflecting in the evening on what you have learned or experienced. These small moments of awareness create a bridge between your inner world and your outer reality. They help to anchor the new energy, making it more tangible and more integrated. There is also a sense that you are being invited to step into greater alignment with your personal truth, even if that means moving away from familiar patterns or expectations. This can feel uncomfortable at times, but it is also where growth occurs. As you navigate this, it is important to be gentle with yourself. Transformation is not a linear process. There may be moments of clarity and confidence, followed by moments of doubt or uncertainty. This is all part of the journey. What matters is not perfection, but presence, staying connected to yourself, staying open to learning, and continuing to take steps, however small, in the direction that feels true. And as you continue to move through this space, there is a quiet but undeniable sense that something new is beginning to stabilize within you. It may not yet be fully formed, but it is taking root, a new sense of self, a new way of being, a new relationship with your life. This is the essence of the cosmic reset. It is not a single moment, but an unfolding process. And as it continues, you may begin to notice that what once felt uncertain is gradually becoming more grounded, more real, and more aligned with who you are becoming. As this energy continues to settle and integrate, there is a quiet recognition that this is not simply a passing phase, but the beginning of a new rhythm in your life. The intensity of the shift may begin to soften, but in its place comes something far more stable and enduring, a deeper sense of alignment, a clearer connection to yourself, and a growing trust in the path that is unfolding before you. What we are witnessing now is the anchoring of this new timeline. And anchoring is a very important part of any transformation, because without it, insight can remain abstract, something we understand intellectually, but do not fully live. This period invites you to bring your awareness into your everyday experiences, into the choices you make, the way you speak, the way you respond, and the way you treat yourself. Aries energy continues to support forward movement, but now it begins to feel less like a sudden surge and more like a steady flame. This is where true momentum is built, not through bursts of energy alone, but through consistency, through showing up for yourself in small but meaningful ways each day. You may begin to notice that decisions which once felt complicated are becoming simpler, not necessarily easier, but clearer. There is less internal conflict, less overthinking, and more of a direct connection to what feels right for you. This is one of the gifts of this reset. It brings you back to yourself, back to your own inner authority. At the same time, there is an ongoing invitation to remain present. It can be tempting, especially when new energy begins to flow, to project far into the future, to try to map everything out, or to seek certainty in what is to come. But the true power of this moment lies in your ability to stay connected to the present, to the step that is right in front of you. Because this new timeline is not something that suddenly appears fully formed, it is created through a series of aligned choices, each one building upon the last. And each choice, no matter how small it may seem, carries the energy of intention and awareness. There is also a deeper sense of self-trust emerging now. You may find that you are less dependent on external validation, less influenced by the expectations or opinions of others. This does not mean you become disconnected or isolated, but rather that your relationship with yourself becomes the foundation from which all other connections grow. This can bring a sense of quiet confidence, not something that needs to be expressed loudly, but something that is felt internally, and knowing that you are capable of navigating to whatever arises, that you are connected to your own guidance, and that you are supported in ways that may not always be visible, but are deeply present. In relationships, this shift can create more authenticity and balance. You may notice that you are more willing to communicate openly, to express your needs, and to listen with greater presence. There is less need for pretense, less desire to fit into roles that no longer feel true. For some, this may lead to a deepening of existing connections, as honesty creates a stronger foundation. For others, it may lead to a natural reconfiguration of relationships, where certain dynamics shift or come to completion. Again, this is not something to fear, but something to approach with awareness and compassion. Creatively and purposefully, there is a sense of building. The initial spark of inspiration that may have arisen is now asking to be nurtured, to be developed, to be given form over time. This is where patience and dedication become important. Aries may initiate, but it is your continued presence and commitment that allows something to grow and flourish. You may find it helpful to create gentle structures or routines that support your intentions, not rigid schedules, but supportive frameworks that help you stay connected to what matters to you. This could be setting aside time for creative work, for reflection, or for practices that nourish your well-being. There is also a strong emphasis now on embodiment. This means bringing your awareness fully into your physical experience, into your body, into the present moment. The more grounded you are, the more clearly you can navigate these energies, and the more effectively you can integrate the changes that are taking place. Sibyl practices can be incredibly powerful here. Taking a few moments to feel your feet on the ground, to notice your breath, to become aware of your surroundings. These are not small things. They anchor you into the present, into your body, and into your life. Spiritually, there is a sense of maturation. This is not about seeking experiences outside of yourself, but about deepening your connection within. It is about recognizing that the guidance you seek is already present, and that through stillness, awareness, and trust, you can access it more and more clearly. You may also begin to notice synchronicities, small signs or moments of alignment that seem to confirm that you are on the right path. These are gentle affirmations from the universe, reflections of your own alignment. They are not something to chase, but something to acknowledge with gratitude when they appear. As you continue forward, there may still be moments of uncertainty. This is a natural part of any journey into the new. But what is different now is your relationship with that uncertainty. It no longer needs to be something that holds you back. It can simply be part of the unfolding, something that coexists with your sense of trust and presence. There is also an invitation to remain open. Even as you begin to find your footing in this new energy, life will continue to evolve, to present new opportunities, new insights, and new directions. Staying open allows you to move with this flow rather than becoming fixed or resistant. And perhaps most importantly, there is a sense of beginning again, but from a place of greater awareness. This is not a return to the starting point, but a new beginning at a higher level of understanding. You carry with you everything you have learned, everything you have healed, everything you have become. This is the essence of the new timeline you are stepping into. It is not separate from your past, but it is no longer defined by it. It is shaped by your presence, your choices, and your willingness to align with your truth. So as you move through these days and beyond, allow yourself to trust this process. Allow yourself to take one step at a time, to listen to your inner guidance, and to honor the rhythm that is uniquely yours. Because something has indeed shifted, something has opened. And within you, there is a quiet but powerful readiness to live your life in a way that is more aligned, more conscious, and more deeply connected to who you truly are becoming.